welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to EU League. We continue with our matches, of course. Went through one, we still have 4 more to go, and it's VIRTUS.PRO versus Heroic. If we had looked at this game in Stage 2 or even Stage 1, things might have been a bit different, but there are some relevant developments over the past couple of weeks that we have to talk about. First, let's go with VIRTUS.PRO, I guess the easier team to handle in this case. Jess, as a CIS shill, what can the squad bring in today?
Well, I hope they bring anything but what they've been doing on their attacks thus far. I mean, I know it's been referenced in multiplicity of the casts so far, but the CIS teams are just struggling with any kind of speed on their attacks whatsoever, even to the point where they are throwing rounds that are very, very winnable, even advantageous rounds, both man advantage or utility advantage, and they get to the last 10 seconds and they go, oh no, we forgot about the clock, and that's our biggest enemy, and now we're dead. Oh no. I mean, I can't believe how many times teams have won against them round-wise, and you can see on the scoreboard it's just through time of elimination. I mean, you should never be losing a round based off time elimination unless your plant dies, which happens, in the last 5 to 10 seconds. VP has this curse, and I used to praise them. Actually, it would have been exactly a year ago. I praised them as the fastest attacking team on Coastline that existed in all of EUL. Where that went, I have no idea.
They did win one attack last week. And one attack was all it took.
Can we get some easy claps in chat, please?
I mean, G2 through, but, we won't get into that.
Oh, please. No.
Yeah, I think their attacks they struggled with. They won't be happy with 1 out of 6 attacks.
Absolutely not.
They need to improve that. And let's be fair, they've not had the best stage from a team that we were talking about on Playday 1. Can this team make a major? It's now like, is this team going to finish bottom this stage? They've had a real swing of form on the downward kind of spiral.
You talk about swing of form. The opposite side is Heroic, who have absolutely nothing to lose, and they're playing out of their minds despite the L that they took to Vitality last Friday.
They're playing out of their minds, and I think we are all referencing the BDS game in that.
Yeah.
But the proof is in the pudding, 0 wins. And I think that's the biggest problem for Heroic is they're putting in these okay performances against teams that are better than them, but they're not producing any points. And trust me when I say this, points is what gets you out of a relegation fight.
He knows his team got relegated.
I know how to get relegated, and it is by not accumulating any points.
Unlike your position, though, had you have had the competitive integrity we have now in our system of having overtimes and you get that point regardless, you may not have been in that position, and we did sort of calculate that a little bit. Heroic is in a position now where they might be able to claw their way out of that bottom position. Mind you, they're only 4 points away from the position above them, which is Team Secret at the moment. Team Secret haven't played today, so we don't know where they will be. They get a regulation win. They're now only 1 point away. We still have, 5 more play days, including this one? And that is an opportunity for them to well overtake that 9th place position.
There's a huge opportunity for Heroic.
There is.
But if it goes south tonight, if they lose and Rogue win in regulation, if Heroic lose in regulation and Rogue win in regulation, Heroic are therefore confined to 9th or 10th and will be either relegated or in the relegation spots.
I understand
So they have to win. In regulation, the pressure is absolutely mounting now. You can talk about how they play with freedom and because they've got nothing to lose, but if they are going to get themselves out of this, they need to win.
No, have to disagree. The freedom is you either are a tier 1 player or you can fight for tier 1. That to me is huge. That gap is huge. You're either 10th spot, goodbye, you have no shot, you have no chance, you're out. 9th position, you can fight for that and stay in tier 1. That, to me, is a huge gap. And when we say they're playing with complete freedom, I strongly disagree. I would be fighting for my life knowing I can take 9th position.
Potentially. They have to keep that in their minds or at least prepare for the next year. But let's see which map we're going to be playing on. Our lobby's ready, so we're going to make this one very quick. 7 maps and 6 are down. Left with Chalet. Heroic will go there again, and they're starting on the attacking side with VP on defense. Quickly, fresh.
I had this pinned as a Villa, so it's a surprise to see Chalet. VP put in a decent performance against Rogue, and Chalet should have won. And an honourable loss against BDS, so I feel like it's good for them. But Heroic have won on this map recently, whereas VP haven't.
Well, they've played it twice this stage already, VP. 3rd time the charm. Lost both of them, mind you, so we're hoping that 3rd time will be the charm for them. Otherwise, it's just them repeating their mistakes. And, well, that's the definition of insanity. There's a saying.
I understand.
I was like,
Hey, Jess, you got a saying.
I did. Thank you. We were talking about how I suck at sayings, but I got that one on point. Let's go.
You got to put them on your shirt in
I
the future.
do. My little
It'll make it way.
flash. I know how to say sayings. There we go.
Actually, with certain on, it's complete gibberish.
It is.
So,
It's absolutely unreadable.
so there you go. Ladies and gentlemen, our match is ready. It's Heroic versus VP. Fresh Jess, thank you very much. We're going to head to the French Alps. Not sure if it's snowing yet, but it will be in game. So let's see what all turns out. It's Hap and it's Amp. Take us through it. Enjoy.
Welcome, one and all, to Chalet. Another trip for VIRTUS.PRO. Will it be better than the last times? Well, couldn't be worse. Is actually how it's sort of going to go down here, and that's the tricky situation right now. Is we've seen a lot of teams double down on maps, and we've seen a lot of teams suck at it.
We definitely have. There's many
Yeah.
examples of it. I couldn't find a word suddenly. In history of Siege, where it doesn't quite work out to double down on a map throughout the entirety of the stage, but you know, sometimes it does work out. Fact being is Heroic has the opportunity to even make it to 8th place at this very moment. So if everything goes their way, who knows? Maybe we'll just see them not even playing a relegation battle at all.
I guess that worry is when we start throwing in the sort of words like relegation battle, the scary ideas and the concepts of we're close to the end of the year, we're close to the end of the season, we're close to the end of what we worked on for such a long time. And early on, when you're sort of taking these risks and these gambles and these mistakes come through, you're like, it's not the end of the world. But now you're in a situation where it sort of is doubling, with a bit of a blockade here on that utility. Thatcher and Flores both gone. It's going to mean that the approaches are probably a little bit trickier than you often see in other places, because Flores is exceptionally useful at getting rid. You're thinking, you know, the shield at the top of white. You're thinking any holds around piano. You're thinking potentially driven up around the back stairs on Solarium. There's great usage for Flores here.
There's definitely great usage of Flores here, but unfortunately we're not going to see any of that right now, as Goyo is the last ban to complete the banning phase. Thatcher, Flores, Valkyrie and Goyo all off the board. That's going to be changing it up just slightly. Of course, there is still going to be many different, different ways to put up those shields. Something we know these teams like. Put up those shields on the top spots. Put up these power positions up on the chimney, up on top of the blue stairs, for example. Now you need to bring 2 separate operators for that to get those shields in those positions, but that doesn't mean we have to start out on that site, on the bar gaming, that is, because that's normally where you see these power positions come into play. Gonna have to wait to see just a second until we find out. Oh, it is bar gaming, okay.
Open it up, open it.
I thought it would go to a different side because I didn't see the shield, but then, of course, Six picked the Frost in. So still the 2 shields, of course, on both Rask and Kershaka. So there is definitely a lot of opportunity here for the side of VP to still have these power positions into play.
I think that's it as well, is what you'll sort of see from a site like this is it can be built around power positions, but VIRTUS.PRO, when they're on form, love to retake. They love to get a bit aggressive. They love to get a little bit back into you. They try to find the fight and try to find the fire back in. Heroic can do this, but if they find themselves on the back foot, sometimes they struggle, sometimes they shut down a little bit. We saw that most recently from them in the previous game, where these big players like Blaz or Thunder that you really wanted to step up and get into the fight just couldn't really get connected with the aggressive game that was sort of put in front of them there. They lost a bit of the connection. There was a bit of a disconnect in terms of trades, I think, as well from their previous game, which if VIRTUS.PRO can get a handle on and find their sort of late games that they had versus G2, they could be able to be a bit sharp here and remind Heroic not to come back to Chalet.
Yeah, for sure. A little bit of a different hole, by the way, inside of the box from VIRTUS.PRO. What we do see is that the ankle holes have been opened up towards the office. That allows Milan to try and challenge just a little bit more and give a little bit less safety to the Heroic players. May they be approaching from that side? Of course, for now, doesn't really seem to be the case. Thinking about taking the library. Very important key position in a hold and take like this. Need to get rid of the chimney player as well. Rask is the one that is going to be targeted here. Just a little bit now. There's a hero just trying to figure out where these players are and what's exactly safe and whatnot.
Going for the long arm over the top to try and get rid of that power position. They have already pulled away from the shield. The spray came through, didn't quite catch it there. Milan and Blaz able to move in behind it. Again, this was one of the worries of Heroic before. They didn't quite have that instant response to some of the pushes and blows that they tried to put against their opponents previously. Here, they're making sure that they can at least double down, and that's going to force Milan into a more uncomfortable position. And granted, at this point, when you've lost control of Library and you've lost control of these rafters, you've got to move away. But just talking of, there was a sliver of Rask who escapes on a sliver of health. The grenade is thrown as a bit of a Hail Mary, but caught on a disc there. A bit of a misplay as they don't quite get the coordination. They saw a glimpse of glory, but unfortunately it slipped through their hands.
Pasha still in a position where he can go for a flank, though. Heroic have managed to take this top floor control super quickly here, but there's still a bit of danger looming around. As they start trying to pinch their ways further up to the side to take that control and get that first round under their belts, they need to make sure that someone is at least watching it as Shukri gets the first kill. Opens it up here for the side of Heroic, but Pasha, well, he's about to strike.
With 50 seconds, though, sooner rather than later, Thunder has the drone waiting on this approach, but the more time that's wasted by Pasha on this swing is the more chance that he has to pull out of the approach here from Heroic. They're still patient, still steady, and so is Pasha, and that's the most important part right here. He's waiting to see if he can get a catch anywhere. The rest of the players are buried in. There it is. The catch on the second player. WTG goes down. Rask again still on a sliver. Karjeka bites back, finds Chaoxus. It's Karjeka now on the creep around the side. Pre-fires and hits the door to the double, but they're sticking the plant in behind, just underneath the double window. The catch on the rotation. Only 2 seconds left. They haven't been able to get down. There it is, though. Heroic lock it off.
What a round from Heroic here. Just the top floor take was so clinical, you could almost say. Really make use of their utility quickly, got rid of the chimney player. That forces the player on the top of the blue stairs to fall back as well. Because suddenly you do not have that crossfire anymore, which is so strong. And that makes bar. The round for Heroic now. Master bedroom and office will be coming up soon, and even though, you know, VIRTUS.PRO had a very good setup towards the box, it's just that Heroic, they were like, you know what, you got this nice setup, but we're just gonna completely ignore it. We're going to go from the library side. Now we're going over to the master bedroom and office, and, you know, we might see the same thing happen towards library. A long hold, many long angles being created, and then you have to be careful that the push doesn't just come down from the side of Solarium again. And that is something we have seen before. It's very easily taken care of. If there's a player on the Solarium stairs, you just go into the big garage, you open up the floor right below the staircase, right around the car. There you go. It's being highlighted by our observer right now. That makes you be able to hold the angle, so if anybody rotates down, you can pick them up. All you need to do then is just waste the ADSs, waste the magnets, waste the serial laser gates, anything that's on that window to get a grenade in at that same position. That's a guaranteed kill if a player is out there. That allows you to just move into Solarium from there on. So that is just a take we've seen before. Can maybe try and compare it to yellow stairs on Consulate if you really want to, with the amount of utility you might have to throw in for it, but there is always that opportunity.
As they build themselves now towards their second take on the second site, they're going to start deep. Let's see if they can close off the potential of the run out here just from the red stairs and bury themselves away from the trench that otherwise could cause a problem if they're going to spend a little bit too long on these windows. Blaz has gone for a bit of a split push here with Shukri just holding the rotation. They're not going to pre-fire their way through, and Rask is yet again the first point of pressure, but Pasha is in a power position here. He can look up through the hatch and see if he can catch them on the double window. It means that they're going to have to pay a little bit more attention, or not. Here's the site, let's take it, wins the first firefight, and the alarms should start ringing around the VIRTUS.PRO comms. You can see them trying to move their way underneath. They have the C4, but they also have Milan gone. Blaz with the cover over the top of Piano as Rask tries to slip around the corner, but the pressure's now coming on the window to his left-hand side too. He's got to see if he can find a way out of this isolation. Swing around the Solarium stairs, but the only thing lit up is another VIRTUS.PRO player now in a 5 versus 2.
Creating a rotation in now. Pasha running out from the balcony. Foy is going to be the one with the final kill. The double to come through. A flawless round from Heroic after a beautiful call from them. Hey, guys, one on site. We just push in from the bathroom. There's no piece of utility there to slow us down. And that's exactly what they did. And Heroic, well, leading with 2 now onto their attack. And rightfully so. A tactical timeout is being called here for VIRTUS.PRO. A minute they have to try and fix their issues because the defenses haven't really been going their way. Either Heroic surgically remove them from their power positions, or they just completely ignore them and run straight up into the site. So Something is truly going wrong here, and Heroic, well, they are capitalizing off this as of yet.
Now, it's early game, it's early doors, but it is 2 rounds in a row that they've been pretty heftily punished. There, the whole hold has sort of been broken apart. In the first round, we saw them take the shield on the rafters. We saw them put the pressure towards the fireplace side. And from then on, it seemed pretty step for step for Heroic. They've done their homework, and that's so obvious. Here as well, it was that glimpse at an opportunity and absolutely seizing it, winning the first couple of firefights. From that point onwards, getting them the site control and forcing them into a retake within such a short space of time. Yeah, VIRTUS.PRO 2 rounds, but they've got to take a moment here to talk about this, because that is the pace of this game entirely being away from them.
It's definitely not helping them now. They need to get back into it. They need to regain control here. Make sure that they keep this game a little bit closer. Cannot afford Heroic to just take these rounds freely, because that last round, that was truly free. They were given a bathroom, and, you know, they took everything from there on. They just got the 1 kill onto the smoke, and that one almost went wrong, we have to say. That if that gunfire would have gone the other way, suddenly everything could have changed there. But either way, it's an 0-2 situation, and Heroic are leading by either clinical precision in clearing out utility or that rush strategy due to a good call on information. And while Heroic truly seem to be doing better than they have been in the previous stage.
Now, obviously, this game was one that was a little bit more up in the air. I know it's been, at least compared to the...
How many people went Heroic?
From our team or from the public?
From our team.
I don't know. I know from the public it was 30%. It's not going to be as unanimous as it was previously when Fresh was the only one who pulled off the prediction.
Desert also has Heroic, but I'm not sure if the rest join us.
Yeah. Either way, I think that's the big takeaway from this, is 30% for Heroic.
30%.
In the grand scheme of things here is VIRTUS.PRO are a team that can bite back. They pulled themselves back in the previous game as well, put in a great performance there. They want to get a handle on this early, though, because they know Heroic is a team that's also desperately fighting for points. They're a team that is...
Oh! That's a spawn peek.
There's a way of fighting back and putting the pace back into your hands, taking the spawn peek, hitting the window, and taking the body down. From below, sharp angle, sharp take.
Sometimes you just gotta upset them a little bit there, play a little bit disruptive, and that worked out in this case, at least for now. Ace off the board, that's your heart breach gone. Still have, of course, the opportunity to use your Maverick if you would be in true need of it. First smoke canister's already been tossed out, however. Rask quite early on that one. It's not going to be slowing down anybody as Thunder is being punished or bullied by a bit of a spawn peek. Able to put up a single bullet into the body of Pasha, though, who closed off the window again and will be rotating back up from Solarium.
Well, that's a take. Absolutely dropped Rask there. The swing in and the pre-fire towards the second. Milon gave this ground up quite early before because, as I said, it is tough to hold when you've lost the control of the library itself. But there's a way to retake. Pasha gets aggressive, gets dropped. Shukri with the cover over the top. Milon is now pulling back. There isn't anything else that can support him. It was only a matter of time before those rattles and rolls started to hit the shields and the holes that he'd otherwise put together here. Blaz, round on the backside, is going to see if he can get a bit of a catch here. And I think it's worth noting what we've got this time around from VIRTUS.PRO is quicker, sharper aggression. We saw and talked about Pasha holding that flank for a long time before. This time he strikes, and Shukri strikes back.
Oh, the timing.
Kazeka, but no other catch.
WTG just rotating out as soon as Blast stops, watching the angle. Player, though, rotating back up. Milon trying to challenge up on the blue stairs right here, at least making his presence known. Spots the head, but doesn't quite get the pre-fire. Flashbangs of Shukri are being tossed out. Still a minute 10 left on the clock. It's plenty of time for VP to try and play this out, but as well for Heroic to try and isolate these two players. Those rotations are being made left, right, and center. It's Shukri that is just trying to find an angle on one of these players from up above. Able to do so now, so continues to do some side prep. Milon will drop. It's a 1-on-3. Heroic, even though an early spawn peek working out for VP, seems to be taking this round back in control as WTG comes around the corner, tries to rotate through the hallways. Will be Blast that gets the kill. No, he will not. WTG picks it up and turns it back into a 1v2.
Well, with 30 seconds, he's creeping his way around to see if he can find some semblance of safety. They still have a hold over the corridor, and Shukri's trying to see if they can get a new, fresh angle and point of ingress. The drive through the bar is just going to have to be one of those trade situations to see if they can get the support they're otherwise looking for. They're going to just play around the door of the bar for a second, throw the flashes over the top towards the supply line on the backside, gets the flash with the new mechanic, can't quite see, at least for a few seconds. The ping, though, comes through. They have the watch, they have the plant, they have the attempt. There's a pop back up. They're going to look for the fight. They find it. He drops back. 2 seconds left. Lies on the floor with a shotgun. The pre-fire comes through. WTG.
Very important kill coming through there, and as a result, Clutch is a 1v3 situation. Only having to pick up 2 of the kills, and the last one, well, the timer was in his favor. And VIRTUS.PRO, they pick up a very important round here. Bar Gaming under their control now. Heading up to Master Bedroom and Office next. Heroic should have been their round. They were in control on that spawn peak. Well, that might have just made the difference there, because they had the early control on VP. And that could have been a 1v4 in the end as well, if that was the ace still alive, or even worse, as you had an extra player to watch a corner, an extra player to push around the corner. And now, round number 4. Back up on the top floor. Another rush probably will not work from Heroic. If it does, there's something that's truly wrong in the setup of VIRTUS.PRO, so they're definitely going to be putting up some more attention towards that bathroom window now. You can only, well, imagine as Blazir gets a shotgun shell underneath. He's forced to move out, and then gets the kill to Rask. The kill he shouldn't have gotten right there. Rask should have been ready, you would assume. And this kill from WTG, just an extra shot from Shukri. That would have been a heroic round, but instead he drops that diffuser, unfortunately, as he tried to go off the plant.
Well, WTG in 1 round gets more than double the kills that the team had had over the opening 2. Gets a drive back and gets their first round. Precious with a gun, which is not easy to control, but you still look to other players in VIRTUS.PRO, especially obviously Rask, who had a really good performance in the previous week. And Pasha and Milan, you want a little bit more, and you sort of need a little bit more, and you hope, if you're a VIRTUS.PRO fan, that behind that round and that energy from WTG, they can try and find some momentum. Heroic were in control. That was theirs on a, not a throw, it was a loss, but still, it was a 3 versus 1 clutch, and that's always something you've got to keep into consideration. Look at this, though. Blast just instantly creeps his way up from Trench, tries to find a fight here. It's Karzeka that's going to be the first point of contact. A bit of a dance around 2 soft walls. He's got further than I think. He's real close, but there's a barrel of a gun. There's a pre-fire fight, and it goes Karzeka's way.
I was going to say, Karzeka gave away his position there. Blaz knew exactly that he has been spotted, but Karzeka still manages to pick up the kill. Not the cleanest, as he loses a lot of his HP. Only up to 20 now, something like that. But still is alive, still firing as well. Has the opportunity to challenge any of these heroic players. And yet again, more importantly, they have the man advantage, which should be so important. Summons are being used here to get rid of a Surya. There's of course a secondary one active right now as well. Shukri is holding some rotations from below, of course playing on that buck. Elon basically doing the same but from above, so both are basically watching one another as Rask is holding the window jump in. He should be able to pick up a kill if Kioxis decides that it's time to go, but Heroic decides to call for a rotate, it seems like, with Shukri ready to move up on the west main stairs.
A pause in the action, one of the few that we've seen in a while, to be fair, and Heroic on the back foot for the first time in this entire game, apart from a bit of a spawn peak before, but even then they didn't let it slow them down too much this time round. They've sort of reevaluated the approach. They found themselves in the potential of a new angle and idea here. The double window starts to pop on the bedroom. They're not going to see if they can try and lock down and find those loose players for now, and with 45 seconds, they're arguably running out of time to do that anyway. The Selma gets caught out, the second gets pushed through, hits the wall and starts to pop it open. So does Karzeka, pops open. Shukri and Thunder found by Pasha. No more sounds, loud and echoey underneath, because Karzeka gets a triple, locks it off with the shotgun. I said we wanted a little bit more from these players, and they're finding all of them possible. Voy, the last one out on the window, with only 20 seconds left. Well, we're going to find ourselves 2-2.
Yeah, and that's going to be another tactical... An unofficial tactical pause, indeed. Just taking the time that was left on the clock to start talking about what needs to change for the next round. Because since VIRTUS.PRO called the tactical timeout, well, it seemed like they were losing the round right after, but it was somehow brought back by WTG, able to pick up a great double kill. And now a very clean round, or at least one where VIRTUS.PRO was in control of the majority of it. especially due to the fact that the first gunfight, of course, in the kitchen was lost. Blaz not able to pick up the kill onto Gersheka. And now, kitchen dining to come next. 2 out of 3 have been won in the last 3 rounds. And that means that they need to go to a tertiary bomb site. That will be the kitchen dining, where VP want to find their 3rd round as well. They want to lock this off in a 3-3 fashion, or, well, even better would be a 4-2, especially after the start and the pace that Heroic managed to bring. You cannot help but deny that, well, 3 of the 4 rounds played should have gone Heroic's way. Only 2 did so far. And let's see if they have something for this kitchen attack as well that should or could surprise VIRTUS.PRO.
2-2 and the team talk has worked wonders for VIRTUS.PRO, but it's also still worth pointing out that they had their tactical timeout, and then it was a clutch. It was a clutch round that brought it out to time in a 3 versus 1. It was a hell of a play by WTG, but if that is what it takes to bring some energy back into a team, if that's what it is needed in the VIRTUS.PRO camp, then they're more than happy to have spent their timeout on it. Heroic, they open this game with a lot of pace. That's, if anything, the first round I think we've seen them stumble a little bit there, but to be fair, in the situation that they're in, they're more than able and probably more than likely to start putting that pressure back on here. A lot more caution on the approach, at least from this side for now, but to be fair, Blaz is usually the first one in and trying to be the first one not out, winning the opening firefights usually, but this time round, as he drops down to Trench, he's going to get droned ahead.
That's it, right. The entries could be a 50-50 in these cases, especially since the drone did not really enter the kitchen in the last round, which of course made it quite hard for him to get into the right position to ensure the kill going their way. VP, of course, using some of these vertical angles, just like Shukri is trying to do from his side. Gersheka seems to be well aware he's playing around the top floor of it. Not going to be engaging as of yet. The Shukri is allowed to continue holding onto the Solarium stairs. Oh, that's a spot there from Blaz. Might want someone to go on his drone so he can try and lock that one off. As a grenade is being tossed through the drone hole here. That could actually come in big. Nope. Just came too short. WTG not taking a single point of damage, but does know that he got spotted though.
Yeah, those bush drones, they'll get you. And that one has keen eyes on the site itself. They're always very tough to find on this, and well, at that point, with the more pressing problems coming from 2 stories underneath, the Buck is trying to play the Grand Larceny event, but what he's looking for isn't gold, but red blood. As he's hoping the Sweet Sanguine drops through 2 floors of destruction. Still holding the angle low, and still a minute 30 left on the board. They've got to see if they can either try and pinch and pull a player out of position or start their ingress and their aggression towards the site itself. The angles, they're there for them, but they're also there for VIRTUS.PRO. And that's the concern right now. As more Selmas get caught, they're looking over the Aruna gates to try and buy and burn something, and as player slithers past Shukri, keeps him guessing and trying to play, shoot the fish in the barrel, but can't quite get the connection he wants.
Prisma there giving away some of the positioning as Milan gets the first kill yet again. The entry is there for VP. A grenade is not connecting towards... That was, I believe, Milan playing up there. As Milan does actually get the kill. Kioxis goes down as VP again in a 2-man lead. It's up to Blast to try and turn it around, but with 45 seconds and basically no control on that top floor, it's Thunder to finally find a kill. And with 40 seconds, well, they need 1 or 2 more.
That's it, he's playing over those windows. They're hoping that the flashes and the smoke can buy them a little bit of ground here, but it's Shukri that buys a little bit more. Great spray over as Blaz just slow creeps round on that main entrance there on the western side. Drop down close with 30 seconds. He's looking to see if he can find the sliver of the fight, but Shukri is doing wonders, and Blaz
got it
with a fantastic take over 1. Now looks for potentially the second. WTG pulls out the gun. They would have heard that audio, the pops and the spray, but he's left on the door, and Blaz finds the second. Heroic somehow claw that one back, got into great positions, and punished VIRTUS.PRO from it.
That said, they just had a little bit of pressure on that top floor control, put some pressure onto Solarium, which forced them to try and continue challenging these players up on the rappels, where the rest, especially Blaz, managed to sneak in. Pick up a couple of the kills on the site, allowing the diffuser to be carried over and be put down. And 3-2, Heroic in the lead again. Have lost that, of course, the previous round, but managed to regain it now. Their quest will be to bring it up to a 4-2 to get that 2-round lead as they head over to the defense themselves in round 7, which is coming right after this site. We're going back to Bar Gaming yet once more. A site that was won once by Heroic should have been won twice if it was not for WTG with his great 1v3 clutch. You gotta remember as well, WTG, he was the one that actually put up the spawn peak at the start of the 4th round as well, which actually led them to their advantageous position, which they almost completely lost.
VIRTUS.PRO, they've turned this into a bit of a fight here, and they've been able to, I guess, turn up the heat. Yeah, that was very quick, very clean, very fast. But still, Heroic, they were able to find a bit of a clawback. It was necessary for them. If I'm going to talk about the necessity of VIRTUS.PRO finding a way to change the pace, Heroic being able to stop VP threading 3 rounds in a row was just as important, because it was telling a very different story from a clutch to a solid win to what was shaping up to be a solid round. They had to try and find some bite back in. They did, and they claimed the round. It was very well put together from them, but if they can keep themselves on the 4-2 on their attack, if they can set themselves up, well, they almost opened it well there. A sliver plus, and that's dangerous.
Not quite sure if that was due to a friendly shotgun making some verticals from below, or if it was, oh, indeed it was, a Spashadow with the first kill. Kiox is to be dropped. That's the Sophia off the board. Kiox is not really having the best game as of yet, just a singular kill in these 6 rounds so far. Of course, there's still plenty of Heroic members left, and we've seen them, you know, deal with a spawn peak before and actually come out on top of that one. And as the grenade now gets cooked, that could be a kill coming down into Kersheka as he actually tries to drop. That grenade might follow him. No, it does not. As it comes up right above him. Fall back towards the site now. Still a member on top of the chimney, though.
Very clever play there. He saw the drone, didn't quite catch it, but knew what would be following and pushed the initiative as he could and pre-fired round the hole to see if he could catch the grenade throw, at least when they did it in that situation. Well, if he's losing the grenade, there's a chance you'll just trade it off. Talking of, there's one more gone. Milon. Did he get it? Yes, he did. The wall stays standing, and that's a play that we've seen them try a couple of times, and it hasn't quite worked before this time round. They're very happy because it allows them to keep that extension. It allows them to keep the shield on the top of rafters, which, by extension, allows Milon to stay where he is. Those places, those parts are entirely dependent on each other if you want to play them with any sense of security.
The reason why he's able to get it this time around is, first of all, of course, like he tried to wallbang it the previous time, but there was less pressure coming down from the library now, allowing him to go for a bit more of an accurate shot down onto the Selma, making sure that those breaches weren't coming through. Next Selmas are being tossed out, though, directly into bar and into the stock area. It's Thunder that tries to sneak up here, but Blast goes down. It's just up to Foy and Thunder now as Thunder also goes down. It could be a flawless round from VP to close at the half and put themselves up to 3-3, which is still a pretty good result after how they started off for the first 2.
Well, twice now we've seen Voy be the last one standing. This time he doesn't get to have the team talk to end the half. A flawless round for VIRTUS.PRO, and after how they only had 2 kills after the opening 2, well, it's nothing that we massively expected to see, and they'll be thankful for it. However, we've still got the challenge and the change of this second half. They're playing, obviously, with a bit of limitation in terms of burning out utility, a game that they wanted to structure quite heavily. See you later, Karjeka. Hope you're back in time, and we hope to see you in the round soon.
All right. Let's see. A 3-3 split. 50-50. Question is, will it stay that way? Will we continue trading these rounds around where we end up in an overtime situation?
Are we?
I mean, we are not trading the rounds. I mean,
no, I mean,
VIRTUS.PRO and Heroic, but
I was going to say, if we're going to OT, are we Tim and Dennis? Because
that will be not.
We had our well, that's it. We got
warm food this stuff.
We got our warm food, so I think maybe we'll get the OT.
That might be true. Maybe that's how it works in the universe of Siege.
I'm fine with that trade-off today.
I'm good with that as well. Yeah, I signed for that.
3-3. 3-3 in Heroic. I think they've still got a lot of legs behind them. You've obviously looked at Shukri having a huge game. He was playing a lot of the holes on the flank. He drove them in the early couple of rounds as well. And then since then, they sort of structured themselves. We're seeing Chaoxis not quite dig his teeth into this game yet, in which, you know, with how big he's been recently, he's been able to pull an MVP within the last couple of games.
Yep.
He can be a terrifying force. And against a terrifying force of gunners, I think it's this trade-off that Rask and him aren't showing up, and usually if they do, they can absolutely dictate a game.
See, maybe he just didn't really feel it that well into the attack today. It could just be that he's just livening up right now as he's on the defense yet again. Sometimes it's just a simple thing like that that could change the performance of a player in the half of the game. Because as we say, there's always two sides to a game of Siege.
There is.
And since the, well, abomination, not the abandonment of draws. I'm trying to find a fancy word here for it.
The abandonment of
Yeah.
fancy. Oh! Almost abandoned his life there. Chaoxis hops out. And this is actually a sort of reflection of the very opening round. But the player who almost got caught previously doing this, Rask, I believe, was on a sliver of health and escaped down underneath this time. They don't quite have that. And Chaoxis is fighting for his life. Not for very long, though. Badger just comes around onto the window above the garage, takes care of him. He was stuck in the corner by the wood. But now he is just in a coffin made of it 6 feet under. Here, talking of, Blaz and Shukri roaming underneath, going for a full exploration of the wooden wine barrels, a much more appetizing filling. But they've had their fill, and they're going to head back round and try and offer some support onto the backside of the site.
Very long rotations to come through here. Also, some verticals being made as a form of flank watch, making sure that these players are not going to be coming back up from this exact area. Switchtron trying to quickly make it through, and Voy is ready with the Maestro camera to try and take care of the shock drone, but not really getting into a position where it can be used to that extent. Breaches in the meantime, I believe, are being deployed. The Excaros, if I was not mistaken, are detonating, and that's the Maestro camera just sniped out here. Breach as well, coming through. So that is going to be an opening for them, able to be used to go for potential plants.
That's it. It puts Milon in the role now of playing the Twitch, obviously, with what is off the board. They still need to try and drive their way through. 50 seconds, and to be able to get open box and have the man advantage does put them in good stead. But it only takes a couple of players to be able to pull it around back into their favor, something that they know as it happened in their windfall not too long ago. The first engagement happens over the piano, and Blaz is the man left standing. Pulls back a little to escape the flash grenades. He's going to try and hold the angle on approach. They're still looking towards that box entrance, but with Thunder underneath, that could be a problem that goes, unfortunately, uncontested. 20 seconds. They're just going to have to try and throw themselves through sooner rather than later. And we've obviously still got the potential of a C4 in the pocket of Thunder. Pre-Pleps and pulls back. There's the plant as they try and stick it in the close corner, offering some support. The spray onto the body on the bed. The second of the Maestro, but he wins out. However, a post-plant situation, and Milon keeps the cover. Works on the drones at the start and on the gun at the end. A great take from Thunder. Can't quite find the swing round, and VIRTUS.PRO find their first attack.
Found a first round indeed, and Thunder, while he was playing below, the push didn't really come through the breach. Decided to go through the piano double door and right into the site right after. That was a vertical that wasn't exactly being covered by Thunder. That leaves VIRTUS.PRO on a round advantage here. I believe for the first time as well in this game, they're in the lead right now. As we head back towards the master bedroom and the office, we're running it back into the same site. The Frost will be changed again to a Maestro. Do see the Finker to be brought out here again. An operator that was highlighted on the desk before just gives a ton of advantages now. So as the Gon 6, 2 grenades, great gun. Ability to heal 3 times. Every single teammate on your team at that point. So very great operator, it seems like, for competitive play nowadays.
It's like there was a conversation about
it, yeah, exactly.
a whole
Through the
piece.
pre-desk. I've been nagging them about it since
You have.
since the start of the
ever
stage.
since Finker's come up, you've been.
No,
it's
even,
like it's like you have
since day one from the UL. I've been telling them, hey, Finker.
I like the idea. It's like it's like you're like, oh, it's a kid going up to the older kids at school and being like, can you do this? And they're like, no, we've got all this other stuff. And then finally they had nothing on the board, and then you're there wide-eyed with a hand-drawn picture, Finker by Hap, age
23.
23. I forgot.
It still counts because I'm still the youngest of the whole team.
You are still the youngest.
You know.
Drawn with crayon.
Yes.
And yeah, your dream came true. Talking of Voy, his dream to try and remove as much floor as possible. Living it, loving it. And that box isn't. That box is now a very dangerous place, but it was something where VIRTUS.PRO just drove past it last time round. That was the difference. They realized that there was the potential of this hold and Thunder underneath, and they went, well, we can't stick around here. Jumped past, went and pushed beyond the C4, and Well, now we've got this extension here, a little bit more of the aggression. Chaos is, talking of though, is actually in a very different position. Last time he was caught out around the rafters. This time he's going to play closer towards the swing on the double door.
Gets it down into Kioxis somehow, though. He was spotted out because he hit the Prisma from before. Blast, however, has the opportunity to sneak by inside the library. No one is trying to get a check on him here. He might get a free kill onto Rask as he comes around the corner. Gets it indeed. Goes for the second, which he lands. WTG goes down. That is suddenly your Hibana gone. That's your Buck gone. And that is mostly your push gone. You're now going to have to just try and force yourselves through the piano door if you want to get this plant out still.
Well, Thunder suffers and Pasha punishes Blaz. Finally gets a bit of revenge, puts them into this 3-3 situation and drops down to see if he can catch them on the back stairs. Kajeka gets one. There's the second. There's the response. VIRTUS.PRO. The door was closed and they kicked it way back open. But it's all down now to Void to see if he can pull off a clutch that we have seen already done just this game, the 3 versus 1. However, what VIRTUS.PRO have right now is a lot more time than Heroic was sort of working with here. They're going to see if they can reform and see if they can get a bait and an idea that your eyes aren't deceiving you, she's not real. As the Gemini pops around the corner and finds the pick-up, Milon with the swing. And we find ourselves with a 2-round difference for the second time, but it's the first time it's VIRTUS.PRO's name on the board.
Yeah, VP really showing up strong onto the attack here. I'm not quite sure what happened there with Heroic. Of course, Blast managed to pick up a great double kill, which could have secured him the round if everybody was just still staying put at site. But it seemed like it was a massive roam going on. 3 out of the 4 members were offsite, and 3 out of the 4 members got punished for it. Now, of course, a tactical timeout for Heroic. They had a good start of the first half, maybe a little bit less of an ending, but their second half has not been great at all so far. They have been able to pick up some kills, but that's about it as well. You know, losing the gunfight to someone who's being spotted by the Prisma, for example. Like, I understand you go for the peak in that case, but like, it's so unfortunate if you lose out a player due to someone who's spotted like that. And that really kicks in the advantage here for VP in that round. And from there on, all they need to do is just keep trading.
Well, the timeout previously did work wonders for VIRTUS.PRO, so let's see if Heroic can find some stability. It's not really the pace that's getting away from them, especially when we're seeing plays like what Blaz was able to pull off there on the rafters, but that trade game from VIRTUS.PRO, the positioning to be able to sort of build from things falling away from them, we're seeing double down here. It was in the round, their first attack round, a lot of Milon being in the right place in the right time to have the angles and have that control of the map and the play space. They're acting when they have what they believe is enough to pick up the pieces if everything goes abysmally wrong.
This gunfight. You see, like, at the left bottom of your screen, you see that the Prisma was still active. So Kioxis tried to capitalize on that fact, knew exactly where he was. Unfortunately, not able to win out in the gunfight, whereas Blast picked up a very important double kill. Dropped the diffuser, turned the favor back into Heroic's side, but, well, his VP, that puts it onto the board at the end here, so something went wrong in between that double kill. And of course, at the end of the round, which you have seen before. So, round number 9. VIRTUS.PRO, 2 rounds in the lead. Just need a singular one to put themselves onto a singular point. Of course, have the opportunity to fight for the full 3 as well. And it will really hurt for Heroic, especially how they started off this matchup. I was quite convinced they would have been able to go for the full 3 points. And it's starting to seem less likely now. But as a result, maybe their fight for 8th is going to be vanishing with this as well.
Well, they have a bit of a buffer, they have a good opportunity, and they've got a different sight in mind as they find themselves now playing around the bar to see if that can bring them some success. It's still a wider approach here from VIRTUS.PRO. The drone work of Milon has been necessary and phenomenal. So far, they've been able to really strike their way through using that hop to its perfection over the hole, but dropped on the approach up the stairs, able to at least get rid of the bulletproofs. They don't quite have all of the eyes and ideas. The Buck opens up, just sees the sliver, but Shukri escapes. The Buck player of the opposing team almost punished as the opening body here, but finds his way back to the safety of the bar, where I assume a stiff drink of water is what is enjoyed as he gets himself some blood back in his body.
Unfortunately, no way to heal, no Doc, no Thunderbird on the board, so Shukri will stay on a little bit of lower HP, whereas Rask is starting to open up rotations. Mobility you know, ways of extra mobility for the side of VP, just to make sure they can go from where they currently are to a place they want to be in just a couple of seconds. So there are still these power positions they need to take care of. The drone, unfortunately, not hit by Kioxes, so, you know, that's information that keeps on being gathered here by VP. As they start to fall back right now because the ADSs and the magnets are being wasted, they know that the grenade is shortly going to be following right after.
Shukri's been able to find himself still towards the fireplace door, but it's on. Yet again, striking through the head and finding Chaoxis and getting the drop in the angle on the opposite side. Pasha suffers a little next in the next engagement, but Blaz almost goes down. It sounded like a grenade that popped off, but he had a little bit of cover. Enough that he keeps at least a flickering bit of health. That puts 2 players. They almost strike back. Shukri fires up through the top. Thunder scratched and suffered next as the Finker boost comes round. They're all back to a full bout of health as they look towards the site itself. 30 seconds, and they're trying to do the most that they can with the aggression that they've been able to put down. Thunder's playing just underneath the blue stairs, and Milon's going to try and find potentially that engagement first, but it's all spread out everywhere. Without somebody pushed out of position, it is not an easy fight to take. 2 bodies round on the back of the barrels and a big rotation underneath blue. Hands them a little bit more of the site there as 2 more bodies dropped. Void fights back and claws a way through, puts it into a 3 versus 2 with Thunder, but round the back of the barrels it's Milon getting them in and getting the cover for the plant to go down. Thunder has to do one more big rotation. They have both close exits covered at this point in time. So his choice is to see if he can fight his way through one of them. 40 seconds, doesn't see the first rotation, but is at least able to get by. However, the call will be that he's gone upstairs. They saw where he went, they know where to watch, and this puts him in yet again another tricky situation. The verticals are already popping and being a bit of a punishment now, a bit of a drone drop, and, well, he is not able to find anywhere that feels like a safe entrance.
Just spotted a foot there, but it's probably not going to be happening. 15 seconds, needs 7 to get onto the diffuser. All kinds of different angles being watched. A very beautiful shot though from him. Kind of gets a second as well, but there's almost no time. Still one right above on the top floor, using the vertical angles. Gets the final kill. Pasha, it is. Again, a valiant attempt from Thunder, but, you know, with 8 seconds left on the clock, when you get that second kill and still needing a third, it was not going to be happening there. And VIRTUS.PRO, they go to match point. And it will be Heroic that is fighting to just pick up a singular point for now, or potentially go for 2 if they manage to get to 6 rounds. That's it. Because if they don't, they have 3 rounds. They need to win back to back to back without too big of mistakes that VP can punish on. That is how they can get back to overtime. And if they don't, VP pick up 3 points. Heroic stays again at a profit of 0. Meaning that the rest of the competition can try and extend their lead upon them. And that would only doom them into, well, further down into the relegation danger.
It's tough. It's always one of those tough moments in a game like this because watching Heroic, there's not really a huge amount that they're doing wrong. There's not really a huge amount that isn't kind of happening. It's just VIRTUS.PRO keep being in these positions where they find a bit of a windfall. They're able to find a bit of a strike, but it's the same stuff that Heroic were able to do on their attacks. It's the thread of the way that these attacks are now coming together is they're not quite able to just keep a handle on the map. They're not having that same scrape and scrap that VIRTUS.PRO had. I'm curious to see if they lent into a bit of aggression, as we saw from VIRTUS.PRO when they were struggling on their defense, if that's something that can at least break the mold. But at this point, when you're on match point and you've got to try and pull through at least 3 more rounds, it puts you in such a tricky situation.
Definitely so. But just the entry kills that Milon and the rest of VP continue finding every single time, it just puts Heroic into a big disadvantage early on in the round. And, you know, they try and fight back, and yes, they do find a kill here and there every now and then, but it's just not enough. They need to find a little bit more here onto their defenses as, again, they're being displaced quite a bit. All the windows are being opened up. They're just running around, and, you know, that's how they get caught off. As soon as they start rotating around, because the top floor starts falling, the windows next to the side are under control of the VIRTUS.PRO side. They're just waiting for them to go in, and as the Gun 6 pops up, it's Pasha that couldn't find a kill from it this time, but we did see that go all the way around as well.
We did. They were trying to just get a bit of a surprise strike. It wasn't that they wanted the pressure on the angle. There is a body that is around there, but they weren't in a situation where they could have been punished for it. They didn't want to dedicate themselves too far. I don't know if Milon expected to go there with the twitch during the jump, took them all the way to the open hatch, but either way, it's gone now, and they have the read that somebody is in sight. Rask is opening up the very tall verticals that they had before. They're trying to find Shukri on the corner, but they don't quite get the drop. It's Voy, actually, that opens it up, takes out a huge pain for the teams. Milan, who has been such a good strike for the team, is off first. A minute 29, VIRTUS.PRO have the time to try and rebuild something here without the twitch on their side as grenades rattle and roll all across the board via the trophy room to see if they can, well, destroy the trophies first of all, because they haven't been able to find one of heroic players yet.
Minute 10 on the clock still. Plenty of time for VP to try and work something out here, but this time they're fighting with just a singular man last, and that make that two. Kajaka gets spotted by the Nitro. Kioxis finds his second kill of the match so far and tries to find a little bit more. Of course, playing actively on the Solarium stairs here is in a very key position for this push. Needs to make sure that if a repel in occurs, he gets that kill nice and cleanly to ensure them this round. It's Pasha trying to go for some pace here together with Rask as they spot that Thunder, but they're not quite able to get the kill yet.
Pasha suffers on the swing, but there's the take of Rask all the way inside sight. Concerned about the hatch that was open behind them to make sure nobody gets the quick drop. Realized they had to charge the side, but Pasha is the next off the board. It leaves them in a situation where they're going to try and take Solarium stairs. Kioxis is holding the close angle, and Rask might not know just how close he is. Does now, gets the drop. The second body hops in via trophy window. They're concerned about somebody potentially being underneath, but with all the calls otherwise going away from them, it's the swing back down the stairs. They're looking for one more. They know that they can't get them up in this moment in time. It's Blaz with a close gun and a lot of aggression. Locks off the double. Heroic. Well, it's not over yet.
It's definitely not over yet, and as there is still 2 more rounds to be gained here for Heroic, you do not see any big cheers to come through yet. They won this round. They knew it needed to happen. Now they need to find another one. And we'll go back to Bar Gaming. See if their defenses hold up there. They have been dismantled so expertly well by VIRTUS.PRO on their attacks. They need to try and figure out the key to stop them. Whether that's an operator change on the side of Heroic or if it's just going for a completely different setup, I do not know yet. Maybe it's just swapping some of the positioning around. Put a player into a different spot, for example, put Blaz in the chimney area, which is most of the time one of the first contact points. If he manages to pick up 1 or 2 kills from that area before he goes down, then suddenly the full push just falls apart for VIRTUS.PRO.
6-4 VIRTUS.PRO. They still have 2 more chances to lock this out before we find ourselves in OT. They've been able to secure themselves 8 point, but that's not what they're after. They're after the ability to shake up how this Playday can come together, and Heroic, they're after a breath of fresh air, saving grace, and precious points that might be on the board by the end of this. They need to see if they can try and find 2 more rounds first before they have a chance of securing 2 potentially of their own. Heavy use utility, as expected, is again, it's one of the things that we've talked about a lot here on Chalet. It hasn't really slowed down the attacks because we're seeing so many solid window holds and a lot of bravery in some of these pushes as well.
For sure, but also some of these wall bangs from Milan, you know, backed up by a bit of a ping. You don't even need to shoot the window in that case. You just trust your teammates and go right on the actual ping. Shukri gets the first kill. WTG drops, and that is going to be a heart breacher. Very important here, that kill. And Kajaka, well, tries to contest the player of Shukri right here, but he's not going to be succeeding in doing so as he's allowed to rotate all the way on the back. Goes down into blue and is into safe ground now, whereas the rest of VP still on the hunt. It's going to be 2 or 3 members just completely trying to make sure that that basement is now secured. Surely they will find out soon, but it's going to be costly time that they have at least wasted, and they managed to get a kill out of it.
Well, I said I'd be curious to see how it went if they got a little bit aggressive in the lead, and then Shukri's going to give me a demonstration. A great early take, as we saw suffered by VIRTUS.PRO before, and it means that their control game, which they otherwise flaunted so well, is going to be weaker. They're instantly off on the back foot. They're not going to be able to go for the heavy trades that they sometimes have been able to pull off so successfully before. 2 bodies behind the same shield is a dangerous game. You have ADSs and everything to burn it, but Shukri is allowed past by the door of Blaz, slips their way through, and sets up sticks inside the library.
Yeah, just to make sure there's a bit of pressure coming down there to make sure the VP players are not allowed to take free access of the library. key point of interest, a high traffic area as well, as here comes the Twitch drone, takes out both ADSs, goes on for the third. And Milan taking a lot of the important utility here, allowing these grenades to freely find the shields. Pasha throwing out the first one, will be finding his target. Just a little bit of damage being done to Kioxis there, and Kerzheka up on the window. He's going to be making sure that if Kioxis moves into a little bit more towards the library side, gets punished for it.
I mean, that is everything that you want from that player in that situation. Burnt the time, moved around the utility, and found a kill as well. Another grenade rolls out, finally finds some success. 4 in, 2 out, finally Milan bites back 50 seconds. They're still at the man disadvantage. They've been able to claw themselves some vertical. But it's still far from over, especially with the C4 still in the pocket of Blaz and 3 smoke canisters, which means that any approach that they try to go for here is not going to be easy. The slow creep of that Frost behind that connector wall, and they no longer have anything to try and drive them out from the range. Going to open the window on the hop-in for the diffuser plant and make sure that they have some support. Going to double-check that nobody's behind the bar. The smoke canister goes over the top and a couple of pops of a pre-fire. They're holding and hoping the angle comes through and that they just go for the hop-out. But with Blaz finding Milan with the rotation around the top, suddenly it's a fight inside the bar itself. The spray over the top connects and is able to take one, but the second doesn't quite make it happen. Heroic, 1 round away.
1 round away of making it to overtime and picking up a very important point here. And we really want Heroic to get that point. We want this fight for last place to stay on till the end. And at least give them an opportunity to survive. Because this roster has been through so much over this past year. Of course, came freshly out of CL. Back as Easy Dream. That's a long time ago.
A little bit.
A little bit of a
long time ago.
But yeah, they currently find themselves 4 points behind the number 9 Team Secret. And yes, they will still play tonight, but every point you pick up now is a point they need to match if they want to continue and maintain their advantage. It's Master Bedroom in the office coming up. That is the site where Heroic need to equalize the score and push themselves towards overtime. 6-5. VIRTUS.PRO, you are 1 round away from the full 3 points, but Heroic, well, they might just want these points just a little bit more to secure their, well, not secure, but to put up a better fight for the 2022 season.
The same way, we saw Heroic have a little bit of caution in the approach on their final approach. After suffering from the early strikes from VIRTUS.PRO, are we going to see the same from VP here? Shukri was able to take a body out early on, and it put them at a bit of a disadvantage, especially on the approach they tried to make come together on the rafters and on the upper catwalk. But it's a game that can be punished. It's a game that can go against them. Shukri and Blaz, they're both having a bit of a play around as they go for the rotation. Kioxis is back behind the mantle of the fireplace, the chimney on the tall back line, and the sort of core and heart of holding on the rafters.
Now, there has been 2 drones located, one inside of the kitchen, one inside of the trophy, and that allows the side of VP, as there's a bit of a body block to come through here. They want to get themselves into positions. That's a run out from Shukri, which gets punished by Milan, and that's exactly what I'm talking about. The drones are in position. They know exactly where these runouts are going to be coming from, and they punish the first. Heroic now with a man down, 4v5 to try and fight for the EUL lives. Just need a singular point to at least close the gap a little bit, but they want to fight for the opportunity of 2, and that first kill going away of VP will definitely not help. But we've seen them turn these rounds around a couple of times. Not consistently, but there is the opportunity for them to still turn it around right now, especially if everybody of VP is coming from the singular side on Solarium.
That's it, they're entirely driving their way through here. The fireplace door is open, which makes things a little bit tricky, but as Rask tries to force anybody that might be on the bathroom door further away. Look at that, another ping. Another reveal of a player who's pulled further away. They went for the chance on the trench rotation. If they find their way back round, it's Rask that's still opening these angles. It's Thunder looking for the fight, but it was called and picked apart. More drones, more intel, and more bodies that have been dropped by VIRTUS.PRO. 6-5, and Heroic have found themselves, unfortunately, unraveling to this information game.
Foy is quickly extending towards the library side, but VP, well, they're not giving up on the Solarium just yet. Milan about to be jumping in on West Main. The hot tub is being watched. The highway is being watched by Void as well. There is some cover here and there. Blast right now is trying to find a fight back, trying to pick up onto Milan, who takes a little bit of damage, but due to the adrenaline surge, not taking too much. But as long as he stays down here, it's going to be Kioxis to at least find one. That's a diffuser drop, falls all the way down to the bottom of the whole map, actually, and that means they need to just jump back out to secure the diffuser and potentially go back. It's a lot of time that they potentially waste here.
Well, Blaz has looped their way back round underneath as well. They're trying to cause problems in places that may already have been droned and checked. The reveal in the fight will give the game away that they were watched before, but Kioxis, well, he's holding down on the top as Blaz locks it off in the middle. The spray comes back, though. Kashaka gets a bit of revenge in response. 20 seconds, and they're still trying to find the angle. They've got to get a quick foot on to hop and get that diffuser and try and bring it back. The pings are still there. Milan just sees Kioxis slip away, but with 15 seconds, whatever they do, they've got to drive fast. Rask suffers as he swings in from the balcony side. They're looking for the fight over the drop in the hatch. 7 seconds, and they just have to time this well. Milan is the only cover, takes the first fight. Can't quite get the drop on the man. There it is. It's the plant. It's the drop. It's the OT.
And there we go. It's OT to come through. Just barely, though. Almost the plant went down, but Blaz able to pick up 2 very important kills. The rest of the team able to look it off in the end there. Kioxis with the very final kill. And as he had only 1 at the start of this half, he's definitely increased a lot on his kill count right now. And it will be heroic onto the defense again. But it was 3-3 and 3-3, so it's basically just 50-50 now. Whoever wins the first round has the best opportunity of winning this match.
Well, Kioxis, as I said, he didn't quite have the big impact that we expect from a player of his caliber, especially as he's had such good recent games. But to be fair, if the only couple of kills he got were the ones that just led them through on that round, well, he's more than made up for it. They are the impact frags that you need at a time like that to take you over and carry you through. And sure, Blaz has been the namesake of the team and living up to the heroic status. Sometimes it just takes a little bit of a spark from a player who otherwise hasn't quite connected to turn into a fire that can burn them through towards, at this point, 2 points. The best possibility that they could walk away with. VIRTUS.PRO, they're back on their attacks, and well, I guess they never really left. And that's the thing, that's the worry right now, is with how you've sort of built a repetition, and with how Heroic have claimed the most recent ones, they're on a bit of a windfall right now.
They've managed to get the last 3 in a row here, which is big for Heroic. All they need to do now is get the entry and make sure that Milan is not allowed to be as devastating with that Twitch drone as he was before, as Void. Receiving a bit of pressure, Milan opening up onto his window, but he's quickly abandoning the idea of trying to challenge it because he probably has no clue that Void was inside of it. And thus he's allowed to rotate out. That could have been detrimental here for Heroic to start off this round, as they were quite close to hit the first shot.
Kashaka concerned about a hop out, but it's Kioxis that opens it up here, playing on the back pillar again and finding Milan, a player who has been such a big force for VIRTUS.PRO throughout this game so far. Blaz consistently moving like a man who's taped down his W key, trying to find the next possible fight here as he screams his way across the top floor. Pasha goes for a steady entrance with Shukri on the right-hand side as the first fight that comes through almost gets the take and does, but the second is about to fall right now. The swing on the piano lights it up. It's Kioxis, and I said he found a spark in the last round, and he's making sure it gets brighter and brighter.
And remember what I said, what they need to make sure of is that they get the first kill, and they make sure that Milan is not allowed to use those Twitch drones to the same extent he did before. And well, if you pick up Milan to start it off with, that's definitely 2 birds with just a couple of bullets up there. VP able to at least put up a little bit of pressure now, but you know, it's going to be quite difficult to get rid of these shields. You just have 2 grenades left and 3 flashbangs to try and make sure you get both of them. These don't even have the players yet. Drones being taken care of by Kioxis, trying to get back into his power position, and Nitro dealing a bit of damage towards Rask, alerting them that there is some pressure from the bottom floor. Of course there is, as the side is on Bar Gaming. And Kioxis, the man who had a struggle in the first half, really coming alive right now. If he managed to pick up a couple more kills, he surely will be making up for the earlier rounds that were lost. VP need to continue this pressure.
Now as a grenade pops off and scratches the side of Void, they're going to see if they can dig and fish out anybody. They're hoping for a bit of a aggressive response and revenge here on the swing around the top. Chaos has actually pulled himself back into the library, and Blaz is still looking for the fight. There's the hop out and the slip past the shield, but it's 3 guns that he's met with: the drop on the camera and the drop of Chaoxis. Pulls out of there. Kajeka suffers through the floor. The vertical was being watched. They had the cover and support enough to buy themselves some time, 25 seconds. They got to see if they can try and capitalize on a site that's often just slipped through team's fingers. Chaoxis on the closer angle as the fight comes through. It's WTG who finds the drop and finally finds the body balance back in the favor of VIRTUS.PRO. 10 seconds. And now they got to see if they can scream their way through. One more kill and one more for Rask, and VIRTUS.PRO finally break the thread of defenses and finally find match point yet again.
They find the match point yet once more, and it was a very strong start here from Heroic. Chaox is able to pick up 2 very impactful kills, but unfortunately, well, they were all punished one by the Buck. Managed to pick them up. Used the skeleton key as well to secure that kill onto the main stairs. And now 7-6. A singular round is what VP need to lock it off, but we've said that 3 times before. And this is one of their last 2 opportunities to go for the 2 points here. Heroic, you've already managed to pick up 1. It is allowing you to at least get a little bit closer to Secret if they fail to pick up any points here today. But of course you want to go for the full 2 here. You want to make sure that you set yourselves up as best as you possibly can for the remainder of the season, because it's starting to close down. There's not that many opportunities left to secure these points, so you better start soon.
A lot of players have been able to step up into this game now after what was a shaky opening for a lot. Everybody has found themselves in firefights and found themselves driving through in these situations. They know how precious this game could be, especially to dictate the fate of some of these teams that otherwise have, well, I think it's fair to say, had a bit of a rocky road on their recent splits and seasons. VIRTUS.PRO. 1 more round is all that they need, but that was the story before, and Heroic more than able to find 3 in a row that they needed to. Here they just need 2 if they want to try and secure the win and secure some points. The pressure starts to come over towards the library. Kajek is in a position where he might try and slip away earlier. They're a bit concerned of a bit of a pacey rush, but that's not really the game, it seems, as of yet. However, Voy isn't far away from hopping in onto that window with the diffuser.
He's thinking about going for it quickly, because Sheka in this current position is going to be able to stop it for quite a while. Of course, we still have a player inside of the pantry as well, so a quick push is basically off the map right here. A grenade being tossed in, and need to go for a second one, but Blast is going to be calling that one out, drop through the hatch, and that's only 2 players inside of the pantry, but at least that means that the library seems to be clear, and it can try and take some control here as, well, jump-ins are soon to be happening. Gemini Replicator, that's a beautiful shot from Void. That's 1 out of the 2 players from pantry. Just 1 more to find, and WTG, well, he goes quite aggressive here.
Very aggressive, and when the verticality sort of slipped away from them, we saw them playing a game. The bounce and the C4 outside, caught on the drone at the worst possible time, and Voy, he played that smart enough to hop out to safety. The Claymore's there as well. Gives them a little bit more of that edge, gives them a little bit more space to try and formulate, because they have so much time that they can try and thread. Rask and Milon is the next 2 bodies that they want to try and get out of the angle that they're holding. Milon is filling the rafters up with as many of those discs as possible. There's also Pasha on the roll. Now, he has been once not quite effective, and the second time massively so. So, it's the story here of what are we going to get this time round. The grenades start to bounce towards Rask on the corner. The ADS catches. There's still 1 more to try and catch another there as they're trying to find their way through. Void's still dancing dangerously with the window underneath 2. It's just being held by WTG. He's curious about the possibility of a fight, but whilst there is a frost mat underneath it, he cannot take it and the mat at the same time. There it is. That's the diffuser, now cold outside on the window. The take goes for Rask over the top of the library. He's suffering on the scratch of health as Chaoxis tries to creep his way around on the back. Milon gets 1 more just through the gate, suffers the cost, but gets the trade. 1 more for Chaoxis, who's now looking over the top of the staircase. 40 seconds, does not care about the camera when he's done enough to bring it into a 2 2 versus 2.
Pasha just waiting inside of the fireplace. We have one inside of the pantries. 30 seconds, but the Frostmat gets Geoxys. This might be the end of it. At least a lot of time will be wasted here. WTG knows exactly what's going to be happening as the barbed wire gets shot. Big Sphere gets the headshot. Geoxys dies. It's only up to Shukri now. A 1v2 with 14 seconds on the clock. The default chem is still up. He will be spotted as it jumps down. Gets the first. Needs to go for the second. There's not much time left. There's a shotgun, and WTG gets the final kill. It's VIRTUS.PRO to take the win. The GGs are coming out, but it was just a 1v1 that if it went the other way, we would have been here for yet another round to potentially see Heroic win. They did their best, but unfortunately did not succeed.
Well, it's not so often you see hard-fought victory and think it true. Sometimes it's a bit bitter, and it probably is in this case for Heroic, but VIRTUS.PRO, it's a very fitting and apt description of the game that they played. They take the win, but only just.
Yeah, they only just take it there, and now you're starting to think back as a Heroic fan to those 1 or 2 rounds which they should have won due to a 2-man advantage, but unfortunately weren't able to. They still pick up a very important point right here, but you rather had it to be 2 or 3. So, unfortunately for them, well played to VIRTUS.PRO, get the 2 points here. But before we head back to the desk, let's go to a quick ad break.